that's exactly what I did, Felix. If it wasn't for that, I'd use the medical commodities, flipping medical commodities to get me a nest egg to where I could come down here comfortably. Because I just have Social Security, and it goes a long ways, but it's also nice to have a little backup. Gino Pettis Adventures. I'm still Gino. There's my buddy Felix, and I'd like to welcome him back. It's like the third time we've had him on the show, and it's always good to see you, Felix. How you been?
I'm doing well, Gino. Thank you again for having me. Thank you again for bringing me on your channel, and I'm doing well. Still in Medellin. But, I was just about to go to this little kind of networking event with other expats and entrepreneurs that live out here. So I wanted to connect with you and do a video with you real quick before I step out.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I appreciate it. It's always good to have you. Because after our last videos, I had a few questions for you. And well, I'll just start with the first one. I want to know, how did you get started?
Are you talking about the medical commodities business?
Yeah, the medical. I'm sorry. I guess we know what we're talking about. Our crew doesn't know what we're talking about. Yeah, we're going to go over the medical commodities thing again with Felix, because I had some questions from my viewers last time, specific to how to get things done and how long Felix has been doing it, and if the market is saturated, and a couple of other things. So we'll just start off with how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, so I got started doing this back in like August of 2015 is when I discovered it. But back then, I didn't know like really what I was doing. It kind of just popped into my lap from a real estate deal that went south. I was set up to make me and this guy were set up to make like 65, 70 grand. And the deal kind of fell through the gutter at the last minute. This guy was doing the medical commodities business, aka buying and reselling diabetic testing supplies. I offered to work for him. I offered to pay him. And, he really wasn't having it. So from there, I basically just pieced the business together over like 6-7 months. And then like by February of 2016, I discovered it in August of 2015. By like February, March of 2016, I was making substantial money. But, this business I've been doing since 2016. And, frankly, it's changed my life. It's allowed me to invest into properties, real estate, and, it gives me a nice monthly cash flow every month where, I'm in Colombia right now, but my business is back home that I kind of have my 2 childhood friends run for me.
Yeah, that was one of the questions.
People always ask, like, can you do it from Colombia? You can once you have it set up. So like I'm in Colombia, I've been here for a little over a month, and back home it's still pumping cash. But you got to kind of be on the ground. You were doing it in Arizona, and you could do it remotely, but you have to set it up in the States, and then you can go on to.
Yeah, that's true. I've had some people contact me off and on the last few months that I've lived here when I came back, and it's just really difficult for me because you've got somebody that you can trust and you've known since you were kids running your business back there. I don't have anybody like that I can send them to pick up the stuff and pay. So it's a lot more difficult for me, but if you got the right people, it would work for me too. I think you've got to set up better.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had a lot of people ask me also, do you think the market's flooded?
No, because, obviously I tell people like, look, the first thing you have to realize is there's 1 in 10 people have diabetes, right? And there's over 350, probably close to 400, just call it 300 million people in America. Typically 1 in 10 people, AK, have these diabetes, or, basically there's about 30 million people in America with diabetes. And, another thing you got to think about is no matter what business you get into, there's other people doing it. So you can look at this 2 different ways. You can look at something and say, even with you're starting a YouTube channel, or you're doing real estate, or you're doing this business, or you're doing another business, you could look at it and say, hey, there's other people doing it. I can't do it. Or you could say, well, if those people are doing something and they're making money, then there's enough out there for everybody. So it's really about how you look at it, whether you're trying to start like a business, whether you're trying to start a side hustle, whether you're just trying to make maybe 5,000-10,000 to make your move to Colombia, whatever you're trying to do, it's not saturated. It's just about how you look at business, because no matter what business you get into, unless you're like making an invention, or no matter what you get into, there's other companies, there's other people in your industry, in your market, in your niche doing it. So I don't personally think it's saturated, but some people, they love to jump to that conclusion. Oh, it's saturated, I can't do it. So, I think it's good to look at a business when you're looking, like maybe look at your other people in your industry niche market, but don't look at those people and count yourself out and say, oh, well, because they're doing it, I can't. There's enough out there to go around for everybody. So no, it's not saturated.
There always is, and it's hard to get that across to people, Felix. So, a lot of the naysayers, and they're just looking for an excuse not to do the business. There's too many people, though. There's not enough this or not enough that. But I think you're exactly correct. If you just suit up and show up, there's plenty of room for everybody. Yeah. I had guys ask me too, because the bandit, when I started out with the bandit signs. Well, the first thing I did is I actually watched the entire course.
Yeah.
And took notes, because your group on Facebook, I see sometimes that people ask these silly questions that if they had actually watched the whole course, they would have had the answer to.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have asked me about the bandit signs and what's your best way to advertise these days. And you might fill us in on that. And then I'll add a little on the bandit signs later.
Yeah. So what I do have, I'll just quickly plug it real quick, is I have a training called Flipping Medical Commodities University. It's less than $400, and I'll give Gino a link that he can put in his description. And we have financing options and stuff like that as well. But, the way that I've made a lot of my money is with bandit signs, which is basically just a corrugated plastic sign that say with different verbiage that we're buying diabetic testing supplies. But we do other things like Craigslist flyers, business cards, Facebook, different groups, different marketplace apps. But, think about it like a gym, how do you see a gym market? Signs, T-shirts, things in stores, things in delis, wherever you're at. So you don't have to be like a marketing whiz. I'm not really a marketing whiz. Yes, I have a YouTube channel where you could check me out on YouTube. I actually have two channels. So I have this Giant Lifestyle channel that says it right here. I'm not sure if it shows up my name, but the Giant Lifestyle is one channel. And then I have another channel called Flipping Medical Commodities University, where I talk literally all about this business. Even if you don't want to buy the course, which you don't have to, it's just a kind of like an accelerated way to learn the business. You could go to that channel and literally learn how to do the business A to Z. But, bandit signs is one avenue, but there's thousands of ways to market: flyers, Craigslist, T-shirts, posters. There's so many different ways to do it. It's just one of the strategies. And like I said, inside my training, I give people 8 or 9 different methods that you can use to actually, start the business and get the business off the ground.
Well, yeah, good. Thanks. Because what I started with, I took you at your word. You said that the best way to do it back in those, and this has been a couple of years ago, was to do the bandit signs. And of course, my wife was going, oh, you can't put a sign up there. And I go, well, I'm gonna, and we'll see if they take it down. And I had a lot of my signs taken down, but I had Walmart signs. I had signs in Walmart that were up for months and months and months before they got taken down. Mm-hmm. And I got good traffic out of the bandit signs. And I tried also Craigslist. I kind of got my booty kicked on Craigslist because there was some guy that was doing shady stuff, and it was harder on Craigslist. But the bandit signs really worked for me too, Felix. Because I'm not a marketing whiz either.
Yeah. There's so many different ways to market, and then there's so many people out there that have diabetes. And then another thing, I was just writing down something, some notes, because I was going to make another video for my course, is people have to have patience. I was watching a video last night, patience is a virtue. I struggle with it too. It doesn't work in 2 weeks and be like, oh, this doesn't work. Scam, doesn't work. Nobody can do it. Stuff takes time. I wish that for me, some people have this gift where if they start something new, they blow up, right? Even with you, you're doing YouTube, you're growing, but it's a slow, gradual growth. I've done YouTube. It took me 5 years to get to a point where now I'm getting 50, 70, 80, 90, 100 subs a day. But I swear in business, I've noticed where people just start and they take off. But if you can learn the skill set, I call it a skill set because it's really hard to develop, of patience. You could stick the course. And when everybody drops off, 4 months, you're still doing it, still persisting, still going, you can really reap the rewards and reap the benefits.
Well, I think that's the problem with everything these days. Everybody wants to make their first $1 million next week, and that ain't going to happen. And I struggle with it too, Felix, even with my YouTube channel. If it wasn't for you keeping me on point, it took me a while to get some traction and pointed in the right direction. And the same with the medical commodities. I didn't make hardly anything for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden I had 10 boxes, and then I had 15, and then I had 20, and the next thing you know, you're actually making some money, and it's pretty cool. But you got to hang in there, and the rest of that story. And you got to look at the course. If you buy the course, you have to do the course. You can't put it under your pillow and get it through your brain by osmosis,
Yeah.
So, have you got anything else that you'd like to say specifically about the business?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just touch on one thing you just said. Like you were saying, you didn't make any money in your first 3 or 4 weeks, and then you actually have to do it and stick at it, and you'll make money. Like people always want to know, which is a valid question. How much can I make? How much can I make? How much can I make? How much can I expect to make? What I will tell you is your first month, 2 months, 3 months, you won't be getting a Lambo, a Ferrari, a Rolex, because people on the internet tell you that, oh, well, in your first month, you'll have a Rolex. In your second month, you'll have a mansion. In your third month, you'll be the president. Like, that's not realistic. Let's be realistic. The first month doing this business of buying and reselling diabetic testing supplies, and like I said, I've been doing this since 2016. We're going into 2023 soon, which is just crazy how fast time is flying. But now I make 10, 15,000 a month in profit, pretty much completely automated. Obviously, not all goes into my pocket because I have my 2 friends that run it, which is kind of like a profit share, so that I can they basically run the whole business for me, and we basically have a profit share going on. But the first month doing this business, you could probably expect somewhere between $750 and $1,500. Second month, $1,500 to $2,500, and by the end of the month 3, somewhere between $25 and $35. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen within 2 seconds, but it will happen. And, you just have to stay consistent, stay at it. And then whatever level you want to take it, maybe you found Gino because you're thinking about living cheap, but you don't always have to live cheap, because if you make money, like the one thing I love about being an entrepreneur and, doing being an entrepreneur is you make money off performance and how much value you add to people. And, I could live in the States, I could go get an apartment, but, the reason I like Colombia and the reason I like living in Colombia is because my money stretches. But if you make more money and you develop skill sets, you can live anywhere. You can live anywhere. If you know how to make enough money, you can live anywhere. But sometimes, you make all this money. Do you really want to spend $3,000 a month in rent? Because good luck finding an apartment in the States unless you're going to live in maybe Texas or maybe some areas of Florida or, the middle of nowhere. Any major metropolitan city, you're going to pay at least for a nice luxury 1-bedroom apartment, maybe 2, you're going to pay at least $2,500. So, if you were making an extra $2,500, or if you stack up $2,500 from a business that you can make some money from the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10 months in a row, you could take, if you make $3,000 a month for the next, 10 months and you take 30,000 to Colombia, that's going to last you a while.
That's exactly what I did, Felix. If it wasn't for that, I'd use the flipping medical commodities to get me a nest egg to where I could come down here comfortably, because I just have Social Security, and it goes a long ways, but it's also nice to have a little backup. But anyway, we're running a little long, so
So
thanks a lot, Felix.
Check that first link that Gino put in the description. You get access to training. And if you guys have any questions, just hit me up.
Yeah. And hit me up, make a comment, whatever. We got the link. It'll be on top. Felix, thank you. And if nothing changes, we will see you on the flip side.